So Democrats are a dying brand. Now, this is from Case Study QB. Shout out to him. Please follow him on all of his social media. It's the right thing to do. It's the one thing to do because he is so awesome. So there you go. Shout out to Case Study QB. But Democrats, you don't have a leg to stand on, do you? I mean, Democrats. I mean, are you just this dumb? Are you just this stupid? Because now everyone's seeing how your entire coalition broke and fell apart. Now, it's not my fault that your organization skills suck. And it's not my fault that you guys never jumped on the opportunity to maybe listen to real progressive and independent thinkers in regards to how to get policy done and make people's lives better. So now we're enjoying the pastime of laughing at you as you fall apart.
Democrats are finally getting brutally honest on why they lost. The New York Times, talking to a bunch of the party's bigwigs, and strategist Liz Smith probably summed it up best after she said, quote, "The Democratic brand is in the toilet. Many of the Democrats who succeeded this cycle, our best overperformers in House races, for instance, are people who ran against the Democratic Party." And speaking of that toxic brand, Chuck Todd just dropped a bombshell, a Biden polling memo from 2 years ago, warning they'd go broke if they went woke.
A strategist for a Biden super PAC circa 2022 sent me a polling memo that he had sent to the campaign. The democracy message really didn't ring true with Latino voters, especially if they're first or second gen. Because first, you want to see a democracy crumbling? Let me introduce you to El Salvador. You want to see a democracy that doesn't work? Let me introduce you to Venezuela. The Trump campaign targeted them on the same issues they were targeting working class white voters. Mm-hmm. And the Harris campaign targeted them as a community of color.
Yes. Well, the Harris campaign didn't even have a message at all. Neither did the Biden administration or Biden campaign. They didn't have a message. And AOC, as one of those leading figures, no. She had no message either. In fact, the further along AOC's political career intensified and got more affluential, nobody wanted to be associated with her because she kept on supporting policies and turning a blind eye to the overall failure of the Biden-Harris administration and not following through with many of her promises, such as fighting for Medicare for all or being a real critique leader of Biden, never holding his feet to the fire. I mean, hell, AOC has gone on record saying that he has exceeded expectations.
So could fresh leadership be the antidote for all that ails the Democrats? Well, not so fast. Jen Psaki is scolding her party for snubbing AOC and picking a 74-year-old longtime key committee for a key committee post. Check this out.
House Democrats missed what I would consider a big opportunity. They passed over Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez for the top Democratic spot on the Oversight Committee. This felt like an obvious chance to apply some of the lessons we should have learned from the November election, right? Instead, Democrats passed over one of the youngest, most media-savvy members of Congress for a key leadership.
Debatable. Absolutely debatable. AOC being media-savvy, I mean, early on in 2018 when she was first running, she made the correct choice of showing up on larger media platforms like TYT at the time and the Jimmy Dore show, doing outreach, speaking out to people, and also being a strong figurehead early on. But since then, the more she spoke, and then the more she became intertwined with the Democratic Party, the more people wanted to stay away from her, and she wasn't media savvy at all.
Public.
I mean, the same person who said, "How dare you, Bernie Sanders, go on the Joe Rogan show?" And yet that boosted up Bernie's numbers. And in turn, in 2024, Kamala had the same opportunity, and she threw it down the toilet.
Roll.
Tyrus, explain how AOC is the future of the Democrat Party.
She's not. Okay, first of all, they decided not to go with an influence over someone who had actual experience. AOC's legislative record is what? How many laws? What? They figured out the problem is that the Democrats haven't been in office. They haven't been working. This has been the progressive branch. It's not when you say brand, you're not selling sneakers and shoes. Your brand is the American people. The Democratic Party used to have solid ideas. They down the middle stuff. What happened was we got a president who was unfit. The cover up and the people who were calling the shots were progressives. And that's what ruined the country. So you have to stop blaming Democrats. You also have to stop having people who were part of the crime tell you what was wrong. Psaki and the other guy, you were part of the problem. You promoted an unfit Joe Biden. Now you're trying to tell mainstream common sense Democrats what's wrong with their party. No, you're a part of the problem. We need to get back to common sense values, and there are people.
There are no common sense values here, buddy. This is Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. doesn't know common sense values. All it knows is about profit and money. But I did want to play just a few short segments, just a few short minutes of it, because it's easy to sit there and pontificate. Well, what's wrong with the Democrats? What's wrong with the Democrats? What's wrong with the Democrats' brand as an entire institution has nothing to offer people. Okay, as an organization, as a political movement, all what it does is it separates people from their money because they send emails or text messages. They try and get people to get panicked about the Republicans and Trump. But as soon as the Democrats get what they want, let's say they get a supermajority in the Senate and House. Let's say they get the presidency. Do they have the thing that a lot of people want to know? And that is are they capable of follow through? And they don't. They'll say, oh, we have a couple of conservative blue dog Democrats. Oh, this wasn't really expedient to do at the time. Like how Obama said with Roe v. Wade. I mean, he had a Senate majority in the House and Senate. I mean, he could have. He had the supermajority. He had what was needed to get things done. He had 2 years, inexcusable, large open window, and he shut it. He spat in their face. And Democrats still don't know, like, what do they have to do to organize? Because they are incapable of having an organized plan. I've covered my fair share of protests and events where there are Democrat speakers there, candidates and progressives. And after a while, you hear the same thing over and over again. But the key thing is, once they're in power, do they have what it takes to follow through with their messaging? And they just don't have what it takes. I want to pull up this video here again. Shout out to Case Study QB, because now, oh my goodness, corporate media, BSDNC, Democrats, they need to organize better around economic issues.
Well, and that is why I made the point yesterday about I mean, people often talk about, I mean, this has literally been going on since Fred Hampton, but I mean, Reverend Justice Jackson, Dr. King, right? Heck, Bernie Sanders talked about organizing across class as well, because the reality is when you align just along, if we're going to just specifically talk about white people for a second, okay? If we just talk about aligning just across race, we are seeing the divisions happening right now. The white billionaires, Elon Musk is not saying, yes, I'm fighting for the little guy. Yes, I'm out here, looking out for the forgotten white man. He is saying, these folks are mediocre and let me get somebody else to do it, which is why folks, white, Black, Latino, Native American, Asian American, Pacific Islander, and otherwise, we have to look at organizing across class, okay? Because the reality is what they...
No, but you can't. Because every attempt by trying to fight for class issues, Simone Sanders, I think you forget that everyone remembers you were part of the Biden-Harris campaign of 2020. I mean, the same Simone Sanders had to do cartwheels and mental gymnastics just to defend whatever stupid thing Joe Biden was saying. This is the same Simone Sanders who was part of that campaign and eventually got into a position with Kamala Harris's staff, who was turning a blind eye to progressives and independents saying, hey, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, are you going to help us out with these issues? And the answer was no.
Said, as Michael said, what they said about Black people all those years ago, and they still trying to say it about us, to be very clear. Mm-hmm. Now they're saying it out loud about people who are not Black, about you, okay? First they came for us, now they're coming for you. You are not exempt, boo-boo. Let's come together.
I couldn't have said it better. Church on Sunday morning. Still.
No. See, corporate media, I'm so happy you're going broke. I'm so happy that the establishment media is going broke. I'm so happy that they're losing money. I'm so happy that they're losing viewers, and I'm so happy that the Democrats don't have a safe place to go. That's just beautiful to me. That just sings to my heart because of how desperate they are. Because they're saying, "Oh, gee, we should have done this." You had 8 years. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, Democrats, to actually do something. Your brand is dead. AOC doesn't have that energy to bring in a whole stadium-sized crowd. There was a point she could, and she did have that power. There was a point where even Bernie Sanders was capable of doing that. But when you give the middle finger to your voting base, when you open up the bottle and the lightning jumps right out, you can't put lightning back into a bottle again. I mean, it's a one and done thing. The populist movement of 2016, and dare I say it, maybe even a little bit by 2020, could not and can never be repeated again because people are burnt out by the Democrats. Just as Democrats, brand new Congress, our revolution, DSA, they're husks of their former selves. We've done reports about how people are closing up their wallets to them because they don't have they've never done anything more effective. All what they're good at now is being branches to the main DNC establishment. The DNC has no plan. And as a step forward, especially as we go into the midterm election cycle of 2026, and I know that next year is going to be 2025, but this entire year, you really want to bring in change and you really want to shake up the midterm election cycle, don't support the Democrat Party. Support independents and third parties. Support citizen ballot initiatives. Support getting money out of politics and build movements and organizations not connected to Washington, D.C. That's how we bring in the new year. And if the Democrats keep on asking, well, how are you going to do it without us? How are you going to do it without us? We're going to do just fine without you. You need us more than we need you. That's the message you say to these Democratic politicians. You need us more than we need you. And the way you've treated us shows us what you think about us. The Democrats do not like us. They don't think about us. They don't respect us. They had all this opportunity to do the right thing, and they didn't. Why? Because they think all of us are stupid. They had no respect for you. They had no belief in you. And they are confident enough to say that, oh, well, if you don't vote for us, then the orange boogeyman gets into office. Well, there were a lot of Arab, Muslim, Black, Latino, white, all colors of the rainbow voters who gave a middle finger to the Democrats, old and young, no matter what generation they're part of or who they worshiped. They gave them the middle finger on November 5th. And the Democrats lost terribly. We called it out. We said what was going to happen. It's not my fault, Democrats, that you have destroyed your brand. It's not my fault or anybody else's fault. Not Hardlands Media, not Due Dissidents, not Jimmy Dore, not INN, not RBN, none of our audiences. You gave us the middle finger, and we gave you the middle finger right back. You told us what you thought about us, and it's okay for us to say F you right back. So as your party goes extinct, and by proxy, corporate media goes extinct, newer and better people and better organizations and independent media will lead the way where all of you have failed. And I think that's a perfect way to remember those two institutions, corporate media and the Democrat Party. Extinct and an embarrassment of a brand and a bad product. Am I being mean?
It is the best $3 billion investment we make. Whether or not in Israel, the United States of America would have to invent an Israel to protect her interest in the region. The United States would have to go out and invent an Israel.
I don't mean to sound alarmist, but most of what they let you read is garbage. Most of it's designed to warp our minds until subconsciously you find you'll take the time to lick their boots free of grime and wipe their minds free of tarnish. Oil is the centerpiece, a body count of millions is the garnish. So how's it feel to know we funded every carcass? That every year our taxes pay for carpet bombing Gaza under shroud of darkness? Or that we spend enough a year to house and feed each homeless person in the streets on turning families in apartment buildings in the Middle East to bloody craters full of charred garments? And our media is silent at best. At worst, they can find it in themselves to call war crimes clashes and label children burned to ashes terrorists who played a stupid game and reaped the harvest. And every time we try to paint the truth, the news sends their slugs to suck off all the varnish and distort it into something harmless. See, the media will hang you by your feet and keep you half asleep. So yes, I'm here to set you free, but freedom won't be sweet because you'll fall 1,000 feet when I come cut you out your harness. They say those who dream the deepest fall the farthest. They also say that home is where the heart is. But if home for you is Gaza, Netanyahu's got you painted as a target. Perhaps it's not the impact, but it's what you see when falling that will hit the hardest. Maybe it's the sound of all those children crying out in those apartments that will hit the hardest. Maybe all those little bodies scattered in the dirt will hit the hardest. Maybe seeing human lives assigned such little worth will hit the hardest. Maybe it's the knowledge that you're paying for the darkest of atrocities committed on this earth that will hit the hardest. Maybe it's the knowledge that we give 10 million a day to oppressors who possess the kind of Medicare you'll die in debt before you see that's gonna hit the hardest. Maybe then you'll see you've always had more in common with the commoners whose slaughter we fund every day in Gaza than our senators and bosses. Maybe then you'll see our country never had a conscience. Maybe then the retroactive guilt will make you nauseous. Maybe what hits harder than the impact is the act of being conscious, of knowing your complicity and helplessness to try and stop the bloody deeds of Congress. And that no matter who's in office, America preserves its foreign interests by whatever means its greed demands, however monstrous. You see, we'll always need a place to drain our contras. And Biden's got a backup plan should harm befall the Holy Land. Wipe it off the map, he'll draw it back on with an iron hand. He demands an Israel or reasonable effigy to exercise democracy and colonize the Middle East. Regardless of the human cost of phosphorus atrocities, bought and paid with money they rerouted out the budget for the non-essential things like ever making Flint's water clean. So maybe what hits hardest is the day you see this country for its actual priorities. And never more no honest peace attempting sleep. Maybe then you'll look at politicians making speeches like a blood-encrusted beast espousing destiny to empty seats and fellow leeches. As the gauntlet of democracy extends its brutal reach, like a giant wave of trash come to crash on foreign beaches. Maybe build a base, throw a flag down and heavily pollute the region. Rape your ecosystems, gut your fauna and congratulate you on your new allegiance. Oops, we mean alliance. This is something mutual unless you're non-compliant. We stole something crucial on which you can be reliant. So maybe what hits hardest is the centrist saying both sides need to stop the violence. And those would be the very same centrists saying we should all accept police brutality, who hem and haw and clutch their fucking pearls and spend their time condemning riots. But very soon will come the day the centrists all get censored like the rest of us, and pious as they'll try to be, they won't stay quiet. But they'll just end up shouting in the void that they were also quick to render us subscribers. And it will be too late to light the fires. So far away tonight, they burn the spires of a region set ablaze for which you've paid for every pyre. Which is why your checks weren't all $600 higher. And call it foreign interests or American desires. This is why your checks weren't all $600 higher. Far away tonight, they burn the spires of a region set ablaze for which you've paid for every pyre. Foreign interests or American desires. This is why your checks weren't all $600